The sound hits first. A sharp crack of voltage, swallowed by the hush of polished stone. The woman doesn't scream. She exhales. Tight, sharp, deliberate. The stun gun hums against his neck. He doesn't flinch. Eyes closed, jaw locked. One drop of sweat curves under his ear. The red of his coat flickers under sunset. Too still to be real. Crowd shifts behind, phones raised, but no one moves closer. She stares at him. He does not return it. And somewhere between them, a small hand tightens around a fallen bear. Steam rises from the collar of his coat. The stain seeps in, slow. Coffee and silence cooling together. No one speaks. Just the wind, threading through the plaza like breath that's been held too long. A woman in the crowd lowers her phone. A man beside her mutters something, but doesn't step closer. The guard stands still. Not heroic, not afraid. Just still. The woman who tased him now stares like she's waiting for a scene that never comes. Her hand twitches. His doesn't. From the far corner, a child asks something, in a whisper, but heavy. No one answers. A man in uniform turns his back. Another moves to film again. Some begin to walk away. A pigeon flutters past, startled by nothing. And behind the guard, just beneath the brim of his bearskin hat, a tear glistens, but doesn't fall. It's unclear if it ever will. Same posture, different year. The corridor was narrower. White walls, no breeze. Fluorescent lights humming above. Too bright, too still. A tribunal table, one chair missing. He stood behind a younger soldier, just out of training. Chest rising fast. Eyes flicking left, right, then forward, like he'd been taught. A question was asked. Simple. Director. The truth hovered. He was meant to speak. He didn't. Outside, a nurse wheeled his father past the window. Blanket folded neatly. A clipboard on his lap. 48 hours left in the city. Inside, medals were stripped. A name erased. The mother in the back row never blinked. Now, years later, his jaw is clenched the same way. The weight in his left hand. The same. His boots dig slightly into the stone beneath. Still no words. And somewhere behind his eyes, that missing chair has never been filled again. The silence breaks, not with words, but with the soft, mechanical blink of cameras waking. One, then another, then many. Screens rise, lenses shimmer in the low sun, plastic tapping against palms. Someone whispers, too close, too cold. His name is never said, just that guard. A cough behind him, a heel scraping stone, no footsteps forward. He remains untouched, but every glance lands like dust on polished glass. The light has shifted. Long shadows stretch across his boots. The red of his coat begins to gray beneath it. A girl, barely 6, lifts her head from behind her mother's coat. She looks, then looks again. The gavel of 1,000 silent judges falls, but no one moves closer. Her mother pulls her gently. The girl resists, just for a breath, then follows. Their figures fade into the blur. He is now alone, and everyone is watching. But no one sees. A breeze picks up, not strong, just enough to move the edge of his cuff. No one sees it at first, not until the light catches it. Something beneath his glove. Leather, worn smooth, not part of the uniform. It shifts as his fingers twitch, barely. A cord, faded blue, the type once used for ID tags. Old military issue, not regulation now. Tied around his wrist, just above the pulse. Tight, too tight. A fray at the knot, as if someone else tied it. Long ago. The stun mark is there too, just beneath it. Angled, exact. No one around him looks. but the camera lens nearest zooms in, then pauses. A child's handprint is faintly pressed on his coat. Not today's, older. And still, he doesn't move, doesn't touch it, doesn't look down, as if he knew it was there and left it for someone else to find. The stillness fractures. A woman's voice, sharp, northern, cuts the quiet. "Someone do something!" A man steps forward, then stops. His phone wavers between filming and falling. He chooses filming. The woman with the stun gun shifts her weight. She's watching them now, not him. The theater turns inward. Another camera rises. Another comment. "Pathetic," someone mutters. The guard exhales, slowly, just once. A muscle along his jaw trembles, then vanishes. His glove tightens. Not a fist, just pressure, measured, buried. A schoolboy at the back looks away. His mother pulls him closer. The boy resists, just slightly. No one notices. Behind them, a cyclist slows. He doesn't stop, but his head turns, delayed, like a conscience arriving late. The stun gun woman steps closer, too close. Her finger twitches. His eyes stay forward. But this time, they blink. Not once. Twice. Like remembering something that doesn't want to return. A voice, not loud, but clear, breaks through. From the back. An elderly man, coat frayed at the sleeves, lifts something in the air. A folded beret, military green, edges worn smooth, the insignia dulled by decades. He doesn't speak again, just walks forward, lays it on the ground at the guard's feet. No one understands. Until a woman near him whispers, "That's the color they gave. Medics." In Basra, the cameras pause. Not all, just enough. A ripple of uncertainty replaces outrage. The boy who looked away, he looks again. The guard doesn't blink now, his eyes fixed on the beret. A flicker of recognition, not pride, just memory. A scar above his collarbone. Old, pale, unseen until now, catches the light. Not a symbol, not a statement, just proof of someone who once stepped forward and never forgot what it cost. A dry gust brushes past the crowd, yet his eyes aren't here. They're somewhere else, where the sun baked sand into wounds, and silence came not from peace, but from the moment just after screaming stopped. A white tent, flapping, blood pooling under stretchers. He kneels, hands pressed into a chest too small to survive. A boy, no older than the one now watching him from the street. Shrapnel in the ribs, a dog tag gripped in tiny fingers. Not his own. He had shouted then, fought the blood, fought fate. But no one came in time. No one ever did. The camera lingers. On the way he bowed, one hand still trembling over the boy's heart, long after it had stilled. Now, in this crowd, with coffee drying on his collar, he stands the same way. Still, because shouting had once cost him a soul. He doesn't speak. He doesn't flinch. But something changes. A breeze lifts the edge of his coat, creased, stiff with dried coffee and dust. His boots shift half a step forward, not away, not toward, just forward. Then, his left hand opens, palm facing up, as if offering something invisible, or releasing something too long held. His head tilts, slightly, not in shame, but in mourning. Eyes closed, not to retreat, but to remember, without letting it spill out. The crowd goes still. One phone drops to a side, then another. A woman in the back lowers her camera. A child hides behind her leg. And in the silence, the street feels older, as if it too is remembering. Only one sound remains, a distant gull, circling once, then gone. And in that still frame, He becomes not the man who was attacked, but the one who chose not to return it. The air forgets to move. Even the wind holds its breath. The man with the shaking phone lowers it, not from shame, but as if the lens no longer deserved the moment. A woman in heels takes one quiet step back. Her gaze softens, then drops. The old man by the lamppost removes his hat. He doesn't speak, but the way his hand trembles says more than pity. It says memory. A boy, barely 10, still holding his crisps, stares up, not at the guard, but at the space between them. Someone coughs, but no one turns. Even the pigeons on the railing don't fly. The light grows heavier, as if every shadow is learning how to bow. Then, a woman steps forward. She doesn't say sorry. She simply places her hand over her chest. And for a second, there are no enemies here, just people, remembering how to look at each other. The light has changed now, softer, lower, as if the day itself is folding in on its own silence. He hasn't moved, not an inch. Only the breeze dares touch the edge of his coat. Footsteps scatter, but never towards him. They drift, like people retreating from their own reflection. The child is gone. Only the crisp packet remains, caught in the wind. It flutters once, then rests beside his boot. Someone closes their phone with both hands, not to record, but to hold, something they can't name. And he still watches the place where cruelty once stood. Not with anger, not with fear, but with the kind of stillness that makes the loudest things go quiet. The camera never zooms in again. It just drifts back, until he's a shadow between the stone and the fading light. Or maybe he simply stood there to remind us what silence was meant to protect. Sometimes in life, we meet someone who doesn't raise their voice, doesn't push back, doesn't even explain. And at first, we think they're weak, passive, maybe even guilty of something. But as time moves, and age brings its quiet truths, we begin to understand. There's a kind of strength that isn't loud. It doesn't show in fists or clever replies. It shows in the choice to not become what hurt you, in the courage to absorb pain without passing it on. Maybe you've known someone like that. Someone who chose silence, not because they had nothing to say, but because they were carrying too much that words couldn't hold. When we're younger, we fight to prove we're right. When we're older, we begin to wonder if being right was ever more important than being kind. So perhaps choosing not to strike back isn't surrender. It's how we keep a part of ourselves that the world has been trying to take away.